I have really three pillars. The first one is community safety. They need it. The communities need them to have it. The second one is employing veterans. All my instructors are veterans. They're all guys that came from commands that I was at and have the knowledge and can teach. And the third one is mental health. Where I see us going, my goal is really to bridge that gap for veterans as they come out of the community. Meaning, all right, you're getting out and you're moving back to your home state and you're not sure what you want to do. You got a pension, you're stable and you're secure, but you need a mission, because guys like us, we need a mission. So my ultimate goal, if we can scale to that point, as guys get out and they have that year or two where they're not sure, or maybe it's what they want to do, they go back, they become my program manager, I pay them, they are me in their state.
You're listening to The Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. I'm Bruno Fallon. I've spent my 4-decade career in some of the most elite units in the United States Special Operations community, where I learned that elite operators aren't made overnight. They're forged through hardship, discipline, and relentless drive. In each episode, I sit down with the most accomplished and innovative leaders in special operations, industry, coaching, and athletes of all disciplines. Let's jump right in. Welcome back to the Hot Wash. This is Bruno. I've got a really good friend here, and we got a really hot topic on this one. Andrew Sullivan. Everybody knows him as Sully. I think I've known Sully 15 plus years.
2009, 8.
Okay, so that's even longer.
Yeah.
Damn, was it that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah, I'm old as fuck. There's no hiding that, brother. I will be 60 in August.
No shit. You're looking good though, bro. Looking good.
Yeah. So we're going to hit a couple of the way back fun shit, because me and this guy have done some crazy things, from Normandy to the Gillette Stadium and all that. But what we're really here to talk about is the foundation that he's running and what good it's doing. I'm going to give my spin on it, but then I'm going to turn it over to Sully, because to be honest with you, this is groundbreaking. And just so you know, Born Primitive is a brand. We hugely support community first. What it's all about is, and I'm going to steal some of Sully's thunder, but he's going to really talk the details, is there's a really void in both police funding and training. And it's huge, and I hope he really talks about that. But what he has done is he has assembled a team of some former very high-level operators that are expert in active shooter, threat response, close quarter battle, all the things that a police officer arriving at a scene would need in a active shooter, hostile type situation. And what he's doing is he's going into these cities that don't have the budget to afford this, and he is providing this training at no cost. And obviously that has got to be done through fundraising. And so you can go into a city. We did it here locally. We trained our Virginia Beach and Norfolk police officers. And basically they show up and they get some world-class training that, number one, they don't have the expertise in-house to give them. And number two, they're getting it at no cost. The biggest thing that I like to point out is that it's tools in the toolbox. And what I mean by that is that the volume of targets that his cadre has seen overseas and the way they've responded to them can carry over to law enforcement. Is that an accurate portrayal of what your mission and what you're doing?
100%.
Can you tell us, what I'd really like to start is the why. Why did you start it?
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah. And to caveat what you said, Born Primitive has been up since day one, supporting us, supporting our cadre and supporting the mission, funding training, getting us on social media, bringing in contacts. I don't even know where to start. You and Bear have done it all. So thank you so much. And
we're in for the long game. I think the mission you're doing is amazing. So.
Thank you. And it's needed. And unfortunately, nobody's doing it really as a nonprofit. You got a few people here with a different niche that they're doing. But as far as the training at this level, it's just not happening yet. And there are some great for-profit organizations doing it and making concessions on cost to get it done right. And Tomahawk being one of those people. And obviously you've had Blake and Kyle on who are doing great things.
Yeah, Tomahawk, Blue Bearing Solutions, all those. But it's a little bit of a different approach, right?
It is. So for me, and just to go back to the beginning, I joined the military right after 9/11 because to me, I had to serve. My grandfather joined because of Pearl Harbor. 9/11 happened. I knew that what I was doing in life at time, it had to stop, and I had to be a part of whatever was going to come after 9/11 to protect our country and to protect my family. And for me, if I'm going to do that, I want to be on the front lines. So I enlisted, I went and found a recruiter the next day and said, hey, can you get me to Navy boot camp? I want to be a SEAL. Okay. And I went SEAL training, made it all the way through and checked into a SEAL team and thought I would do one enlistment, 6 years and get out and go back to my life. But as well as I do, You're never going to meet a caliber of person like the people you meet in that community.
The brotherhood it's amazing. The
brotherhood, the mission, and my ability to do it. And collectively, our ability to do it was unparalleled to anything I had seen before. And it was like being on high school, college sports team to the 100th degree. And you're really doing things that have a direct effect on your hometown, your home state, your country. And you're the reason that this is happening, and collectively, the community. So it turned into a career for me. And I will never, ever have the experiences that I had when I was in the teams.
So one thing, just to jump in there real quick, because you called me old. I just want to say when 9/11 happened, I had 20 years in.
Yeah.
So, but continue, please.
Yeah, you're still picking the rice patties out of your gear. Yeah.
Yes.
I medically retired at 18 and physically pretty banged up, like all the guys. And I just had to make that decision at that point. And for me, it was, well, let's get out and find a new mission, and training cops. That was my mission. We know throughout our career, we're always providing training to the cops. When we go do training in different cities, we use their facilities. And the way that we give back to them is to provide them with training while we're there, because they wouldn't get it otherwise.
Yeah. One thing to weigh in there. So first of all, he medically retired. I've known Sully a long time, like we said, but he got shot up pretty bad overseas for our nation. And I thought we were going to lose you there for a while. So happy to have you here with us.
Happy to be here.
And then the other piece of it is my last role I did with the U.S. government was basically direct an urban training program for a unit. And Sully, that's where we first worked together really closely, doing a Boston trip, matter of fact. And, that was a very high-end trip. But the result of it was we made the Boston SWAT team, the Boston bomb techs, the Boston K-9 units all better, because we interacted and we worked with them. And for that high level of a military unit to interact with them is what I think you have brought forward.
Agreed. And we have this weird, probably not weird, but how many generations of military aged men and women have 20 years of sustained combat? Like we are this unique group of people post 9/11 that saw nothing but war and got to train and then take it overseas and put it into practical application, come back and tweak it so that it's better the next time we go over it. And it was a constant cycle through training and deployments of doing that. So when we look at an active shooter, domestic terror, any critical incident response that the police are facing, they don't train it at all. They don't necessarily do it either, because most cops will never shoot their gun in the line of duty. So when it does happen, nobody's prepared. And we saw that gap, I don't know, 15 years ago when we were training local police or some of the state police that we were working with, and realized it was a problem. So when I did get out, when I retired, I thought, you know what, I have a mission. I started a for-profit company, and the goal was to provide training to law enforcement on the for-profit side. And I really wanted to direct it to patrol officers and school resource officers, because I have 2 kids that are now teenagers. And when they leave the house, I want to know that the people that are protecting them know what they're doing and know how to protect them. And what I realized within the first 6 months is the only contracts I was going to get were coming from the DOD or a federal agency.
Yeah. One of the things people don't probably realize is the teams that get the type of training you're talking about, the tactical teams, are never the first on scene for an active shooter or an incident like that. It is the patrol officer that's not getting the training, may not even have the right gear, showing up, and it becomes a pickup game.
It does. And honestly, every cop from within earshot is going to show up. And they train differently from county to county, city to city, town to town, state to state. There's no continuity. And you look at some of the incidents that have happened nationally, Pulse nightclub, Stoneman Douglas, and you see the response failures, and we want to blame the police. When in actuality, why aren't we blaming the people that aren't funding them or giving them the training or giving them the equipment or giving them the manning to be able to do this properly when we are the beneficiaries as civilians? And it didn't sit right with me. And it also didn't sit right with me that I was profiting while turning on the news and watching Uvalde, watching Stoneman Douglas, watching Kim Potter, the woman who pulled her pistol instead of her taser and shot and killed a man. Like there's so many examples of police failing in critical incidents because they just haven't been trained the right way. And when you take someone with my background, I can watch the body cam footage, I can watch the security camera, and I can see exactly where the shortfalls are. I know what they should have done. A lot of times I can tell who trained them based on how the response went. And I just knew something better was out there or had to be out there because my kids, I can't be there. And I'll tell you a story at some point last week. I don't know if you know if there was a lockdown at my kid's school.
I do. Matter of fact, you sent me a screenshot of the text. And just to put this in context, you're up in New England actually running training. And here in Virginia Beach, your daughter's school was in lockdown with a possible active shooter. And that's what you're in the business of. So
yeah, wild. And I couldn't be there.
Yeah, so
probably a good thing. Because
how did you feel though?
Completely vulnerable and helpless. Like our people are best suited to do this. Not that we legally can respond to a school, but that's my kid. And there's nothing I can do except try to keep my daughter calm. She's texting me barricaded in the locker room during school, not knowing what's going on. And I knew she said, obviously she was scared and she loves me. And my daughter is not a emotional, getting her to say, I love you. She's a 15-year-old
Which tells
girl.
you how scared she was.
Exactly. A 15-year-old girl saying, and I'm just like, all right, I got to stay calm,
right.
And I can't get there. There's nothing I can do. Just keep her calm and make sure she's making good decisions. And immediately on the other end, I'm calling my VB cop buddies like, hey, what's going on? Tell me. And thank God that I got some real-time feedback. So we knew when they apprehended the person because they had to clear the entire school. And they would have been in the locker room for another hour without knowing what was going on, just terrified. And, this is what parents feel like, and if I didn't have the job that I have and the connections that I have, I wouldn't have been able to give my daughter, a heads up after she just spent 45 minutes barricaded in a locker room. And it was such an awful, helpless feeling. And it really drove home for me, instead of being that protector warrior, now I am the parent. I saw it from a complete different side, and it just, to me, justified everything I've done over the last 2.5 years.
And I love the word you use. I know Kyle and Blake use that too, but the protector mindset. Yeah, and you're removed from it. You were powerless. What's the first thing I said to you? I said, once it's settled and you knew it was okay, I'm like, we need to get a hold of the VBPD chief, Virginia Beach Police Department chief is a great man. The first thing I said was, we need to run another course. We need to keep giving because I'll tell you right now, I'm hoping every business that hears this, we at Born Primitive and some of our local partners, London Bridge Trading is one of them. We are running through Community First, getting our local police officers trained, because for me, that's a community action. So if you're a local business and you want to get your response for your school, for your kids, there is an agency that can do it. And you guys are all over. I mean,
absolutely.
You've been all over the country training.
I'm in Texas for all next week training, Fort Worth PD. And I'll one up you there. I'll be like, hey, Governor Youngkin, let's talk. I want to help the state of Virginia. I want Virginia to be one of the premier active shooter response states in the country. And we need your help. School safety, community safety is paramount. If you have the time to sit down and talk about it and hear what we're doing as a 501c3, we'd love to meet and we'd love to talk. And I'll put that out to anybody out there in any state that wants to get their state to the level where they need to be to protect our community members.
That's a great call out. And I'll tell you, one of the things, and again, I ran a program for about 10 years that was very involved between some of the nation's most elite guys and the elite SWAT teams of the bigger metropolitan cities. And what used to always, they'd always come up and they'd be like, Bruno, thank you for your service. And I'm like, hey, man, you have to understand something. The only reason our guys can go do our nation's mission overseas is if you're doing your mission at home and protecting our families.
Yeah.
Like if we don't have our head in the game because we don't feel it's safe in our home, how are we in the military special operations units supposed to do our job?
Absolutely right. I am indebted to police.
Absolutely.
That's how I look at it. And why wouldn't I want to share my knowledge with them? Right. Because they allowed me to do what I did. I mean, this country allowed me to do what I did, paid for by taxpayer dollars.
Look at the cities, and not to go too hard on this, but look at the cities that bought into the whole defund the police bullshit, and look at how the violence and the crime escalated. And essentially, I don't know a single person out there when they have a problem, to include criminals, that when they have a problem, what's the first thing they dial? 911. I need help. So now you've got this stood up and running. Kind of walk through how the whole process works. Yeah.
So for me, once I realized that law enforcement couldn't afford the training, I started the nonprofit. We basically, we didn't get rid of the for-profit, but we completely shifted momentum. I spend 85% of my time on the nonprofit now. I reached out to police buddies, finance buddies, other team guys, and just, is this feasible? Can we raise money? Can we fund this? And we went through the process of writing a business plan, and this is early 2022. And the first thing I did was send it to every politician I could, everyone I knew that was in my network on both sides of the aisle, because community safety is everybody's problem. School safety, everybody's problem. Politics should not get in the way of us keeping our kids safe. And I wanted to make sure there was no verbiage in my business plan that was going to prevent one side of the aisle or the other from wanting to participate in this mission. And once we got it back and made the changes and everybody was on board from both sides, we launched. We did our first training, Fort Lauderdale. We did our first fundraiser in Massachusetts, Nantucket, raised $340,000 in about 3 hours, and said, okay, we've got something here. Let's start training. We started training Boston, Framingham, all these cities, mostly in Massachusetts at this point, because that's my home state. And I wanted to prove we could take it to, a state that probably wouldn't be too keen on military coming in and training cops. And within 4 months, we had an earmark on their budget, and they were giving us money. They saw that much value.
Yeah, you guys are up there all the time,
Yep.
working with them. And again, I know so many guys in the network. I'm like, how's it going? And they're like, we want them back. We want them back, because you can only train so many officers at a time. So, you said you're going to Fort Worth, Texas. What's the max amount of officers you guys train in a swipe?
Yeah. So typically 25 to 30 cops. And for me, it cost me 20 to 25 grand to do that for a week of training. For profit side, you're probably looking at 50 plus to do the same exact training. And we can bring more people in depending on the facilities we have. I just have to bring more instructors in. Now my costs grow. So, we're, how we are, we're problem solvers. And if they need something specific, we're going to make it happen, because we know that people need the knowledge that we have. And we want to make sure that, a logistical problem, an equipment problem, or a manning problem isn't going to stop training. And a lot of the times for some of the smaller communities, a 20 officer department can't give me all 20 guys at once because nobody's working. Maybe they can give me 5 guys. So now we're doing the work of trying to reach out to surrounding sounds, which they should be cross-training anyway, and then building a course from 5 or 6 different departments and putting it on locally. So we're just trying to find ways to make it happen. And in the meantime, we're trying to find ways to raise money.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The Virginia Beach chief brought that up when we were combined training them in Norfolk, that's where some cities are missing, is they stay exclusive to their own city, and they're not training with their partner cities. And in an active response, it's going to be in all hands.
All hands. Everybody's coming.
Everybody's coming. And then the other really thing I want to continue to point out is, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, how do I do this? Remember, the intent of this is for the guys first arriving on scene, for the active shooter. So for the SWAT teams with the bigger budgets and all that kind of stuff, it's not bad to send a trainer supervisor to observe the training so you can see what's being trained for integration, but it's designed for the patrol officer.
100% it is. So we do a 40-hour course, and it's fundamental based. And I think what people don't realize is that there is a significant difference between military tactical operations and law enforcement tactical operations. However, the fundamentals and the basic principles that it's built off of are identical, almost identical. And what we see a lot in the military, but also in policing, is we don't have a mastery or an understanding of the fundamentals. And we just want to throw technology or advanced training at the problem, thinking, well, it's the best stuff out there. But meanwhile, you have an officer that can't hit a target at 7 yards under just a little bit of stress, right? Because we haven't prioritized the fundamentals. And our program is 40 hours of fundamental based tactical training, 8 hours on the range. And the rest of the week, we will be in the house putting them through simulated fire scenarios where they are probably put at the highest level of stress they've been put at in their career. And we're forcing them to make mistakes. We're forcing them to make critical decisions under that stress, because Uvalde being a prime example, the first time you face that level of stress shouldn't be a real world active shooter.
You know, you're mirroring something. I had a guest on here, and if you're anybody that knows anything about competitive shooting, Dan Horner, Team SIG, world champion 3-gun guy. Nobody can outshoot this guy. And that's exactly what he said. If he's training somebody in shooting, is that he brings them to the stress and failure point so that they can work on that level and achieve and bring the base level up.
Absolutely. And think about all, you know, there's a huge outcry for officer involved shootings, right? And wanting to critique them and look at them. And de-escalation is a catchword. And we're teaching de-escalation, but we're not doing it in the way, we're not bringing in counselors. We're not sitting guys down and showing them videos. We're putting them in situations that are increasing their ability to stay under the threshold of fight or flight. And then they can make a better decision. They're not panicking. When you panic, you're going to pull your gun, right? Well, maybe they get an extra 2 seconds of cognitive thinking before they hit that response, which is, oh, wait, that's a cell phone, not a gun. And now I don't take that shot. It is, I'm telling you, the best de-escalation training you could have in any aspect of law enforcement or military is to buy people cognitive time to think by putting them under stress and forcing them to make decisions, because your brain adapts and it grows and you get better and it becomes easier. Jumping out of a plane, the first time you jump out of a plane, all you see is the ground.
Straw.
Yeah.
Soda straw.
And by the time you get 20 jumps, you're like, oh man, there's other people up here. Whole sky, horizon. You see all stuff, right? Your stress levels have decreased, even though you're doing the exact same thing. So that's kind of
everything slows down.
Everything slows down.
It's everything you're doing. It correlates to getting better at something.
Yeah.
The pace slows down. The visibility gets better, which makes you more efficient.
Correct.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. So walk everybody through, first of all, how they get a hold of you guys.
So the easiest way to get a hold of me is via website, c1p.org. You can go to the website. You can email me on there. You can donate on there if you want to donate. If Sully_C1P is my Instagram handle, and then our community first Instagram is community_first_project. And I'm thinking you guys will probably add this to the post when you put out the
we'll
the
absolutely
video, right?
add it to the post. And for anybody that's following Born Primitive Tactical on Instagram, we're always collabing and posting community first. Huge supporters of it. And again, now that you understand the mission, if you could also follow them on Instagram, that would help.
It all helps. You know, we sell a little bit of swag, not a ton. It's none of it's for us. It all goes into the training. And you know, I know you guys partner with a lot of people, and you have a lot of companies out there looking at us. If you guys want to be a supporter of us, and you know, we get your products in front of all the departments we're training, we're happy to do that. We're always looking for corporate sponsorship. The big thing for us that's going to allow us to scale is federal funding. And that, as the president right now, that's my main mission is to lobby to get some of the money, whether it's DOJ or even states, to allow us to really hire out and grow the way we need to. So, you know, a few people aren't doing all the work. You know how it was coming in. You know,
absolutely. Yeah. And what, you know, this to hit the time machine, being an older guy, I can tell you that this stuff has been going on forever, but with the mass media now, it seems to be, you know, people that are down and out used to just jump off a bridge and end their miserable self. Now it's walk into school with an AR and end their miserable self that way, but also hurt a lot of people for life, families and stuff. It's not going to stop. And for those that are gun control people, let me just tell you something right now. You take away the guns, you're taking away from good people. Guns are always going to be there. But if you have somebody that's demented, they'll do it with a tomahawk. It doesn't matter. It's going to continue to happen. The answer is, number one, to freaking get our guys trained to respond. And that's what this is all about.
Absolutely right. You know, I say this every time I talk is I hope I get put out of a job. I hope we don't need this. You know, there's a mental health problem. There's a gun problem. There's whatever the issue is, you could ban guns tomorrow and our generation will still not see this, right? Even if you ban guns, people are still going to have guns. There's so many guns in this country. If you fixed whatever the mental health epidemic that we have going on, that people think it's okay to go do this or don't care that they go do this, fine, but it's not happening in our lifetime. And until it does happen, I want to know that whoever is coming to save my daughters or my family members or my community members is at the apex, is the tip of the spear to be able to respond. I mean, getting outside of school, could you imagine if October 7th happened on the southern border? What would we do? We wouldn't do anything. We're not trained for that. We're not thinking about that. And we have some of the best police officers in the world, and we have some of the best federal agents in the world. But, you know, our primary way of stopping that is to prevent it from happening. But, you know, how many terror cells are already in this country? They're here, right? And hopefully we know about them and we know if something's going to happen, but it only takes one. And now we'll be having this same conversation like, well, why didn't we fix this? You know, you've had people screaming from the rooftops for years now, and we just chose not to prioritize it.
No, and I think until it hits home, you know, and it hits home a lot. I mean, if you follow the media, this is a phenomenon that occurs quite frequently. So you can't turn blind to it, right?
Correct.
So what?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is.
So what about your growth? I mean, is there, as you get more funded, you're going to scale and continue to grow? And because I know you guys, since when you started to now, you're achieving growth. Yeah, but it's going to be based on customer demand, right? Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, the customer demand far exceeds our ability to train, and it's like any other nonprofit, financial. You know, we just can't raise money fast enough for the amount of departments that are reaching out to us. 9 out of 10, probably more like 14 out of 15 departments, I just haven't been able to train yet because I don't have the budget. And I'm asking them to be a part of the solution. And a lot of departments are stepping up, meaning most departments have a benevolent network already in place, right? Or they're in a city and have connections with the city where we could go in and do a fundraiser, which we're 100% willing to do. But we need to get some buy-in out of the areas that we're already in to start raising money. And we're doing that in Texas. We're doing it in Florida. We're doing it in Pennsylvania. We're doing it in Colorado right now. California, I've gotten more calls from departments in California than any other state.
Is it easy to find where the fundraisers are located?
If you have the right connections, it is. Okay. And a lot of what we're doing is just trying to work our networks. Grassroots. And, you know, I grew up in Massachusetts, and obviously from running trips up there, I had a really good network of people who, as soon as I pitched this to them, the wheels started turning. You know, most of what we've raised is Massachusetts. We've gotten a lot of state funding in Massachusetts. We're over 1.2 million raised in just over 2 years. And I think we have a couple states that are going to be on board here soon as well with state money. And I'm hoping by 26 we'll have federal funding that will really allow us to grow.
That's nice.
You know, at the end of the day, there needs to be a cultural shift in how we train cops. There's a huge problem with what we are accepting as training for critical incident. Cops are amazing at the majority of their job. We're specifically talking about critical incident response, active shooter, domestic terror, you know, when they have to make a life or death decision. And if we want them to do it right, we have to prioritize training, and we're not doing that. You know, and you look in the teams, if I'm doing a 6-month deployment, I'm training for 18 months for that 6 months. Law enforcement right now, and I'm not talking about SWAT, at the patrol level, the national average is 40 hours of in-service training a year. But once you get through the academy, 40 hours, and that's any part of your job. The national average for firearms is 12 to 15 hours a year. And I can tell you maybe only one department I've trained actually meets that, because they're so undermanned that if you go in and you pass your qual, you're out of there because they have to spend their time working on the people that can't pass the qual. And if you can't pass a qual and you carry a gun for a living, that is a problem.
That is a problem.
And you know, these are all things. My biggest issue right now with fundraising is that most people don't know there's a problem. And I'm big part of what I'm doing is trying to get the word out there. Like, hey, these people are asking for help. Police departments are asking for help. They want money. They want manning. They want equipment. They want training. They're just not getting the support or the financial means to be able to prioritize it the way that we think it should be done.
Got it.
And it's very frustrating. And I'm sure it is for them more so than me.
No, and it's one of those that we will just continue to press as a business to also to bring illumination to it. I can assure you that at least in our local community that we're going to press hard on it. I want to shift gears for a minute. Have some fun. Have some fun.
We're going to get the whiskey first?
Yeah, we should get the
now that we're done talking.
Get the Norm Hooten and Young out there and have some.
Fantastic.
So let's talk about our Boston trip because I think people want to hear something lighthearted. So I'm gonna allude to this and I'm gonna let you fill in the holes. So just to let you know, Sully and I are both big Patriots fans.
Wait, were you a Patriots fan when we met? I'm just curious.
I probably was being converted at that point in time because the team that I followed, when I found out that they were charging the DOD for advertising and that the Patriots weren't, and that when they wouldn't let us go and use their stadium, and the Patriots removed the camera cables so we could land helicopters on their field, I quickly became a converted man. Yeah,
100%.
So
they were so good to us.
So let me ask you, what do you remember most about that trip?
Yeah, there was obviously some good stuff that happened on that trip, and you know, for me, I would love those trips, just the camaraderie. You know, work hard, play hard, and get the job done. Share knowledge, enjoy the city. We had some great times.
Yeah. So what we're talking about, just so you guys know, is we would take a military unit and we would go into a major metropolitan city and we would do some very high-end urban training. And the whole purpose of this is to take our guys and put them in unknown terrain, unknown floor plans that they had never seen before, and give them just a hard look at something. And then the byproduct of it is working with the local, federal, and state and city police and letting them see how it would be prosecuted by one of our more elite units in the world, and them to feed off that because we're training where they might have to respond. Yeah. So the trip I'm talking about we did was in Boston, and we worked extremely close with Boston SWAT and the whole city there, and gave them a bunch of different looks over 2 weeks. But my favorite moment was honestly the culmination when we did Gillette Stadium. Yeah, and it was a unique opportunity because I watched a football team that was like 2 weeks out from season opener. It was close. Yeah. So they were 2 weeks out from season opener, and we wanted to be able to get some helicopters inside the stadium, and they physically removed all the camera cables from across the stadium that you would not be able to see, just so we could get the helicopters in there. And it wasn't cheap.
Was not cheap.
It was not cheap. We remember watching cranes go in there, plywood planking the field and all that kind of stuff 2 weeks before the season opener.
Yeah.
So my hat's off. That's why I've always said they're the Patriots.
I mean, that community, and you could say that about most of the blue collar community, Chicago, New York, Boston, even Philly, like those places, they opened the doors and they're so patriotic. Say what you will about Massachusetts. It's definitely a liberal state. It's definitely left, and some places far left, but there is never not support
to the military
up there. Over the top support even. Yeah. And it's fantastic.
What's the next gate? Do you try and have, are you able to handle this, or do you try and get some other people to start doing this as well?
I have really 3 pillars, right? The first one's community safety. And that's the training that we're providing law enforcement. They need it. The communities need them to have it. The second one is employing veterans. Right? All my cadre, all my instructors are veterans. They're all guys that came from commands that I was at and have the knowledge and can teach. And the third one is mental health in our community, the military, but also in the law enforcement community, because they're about probably 10 years behind where we were, and we know we had a significant problem with mental health in our community. Where I see us going, my goal is really to bridge that gap for veterans as they come out of the community. Meaning, all right, you're getting out and you're moving back to your home state, and you're not sure what you want to do. You got a pension, you're stable and you're secure, but you also you need a mission, because guys like us, we need a mission. This is my mental health. This is why I am okay. This is why I can get up in the morning and go do what I do, is because I know that I'm service driven and I have a passion for this. This is my new mission. And guys need that. So my ultimate goal, if we can scale to that point and raise money, is as guys get out and they have that year or two where they're not sure, or maybe it's what they want to do, they go back, they become my program manager. I pay them. They are me in their state. And then we can just start setting up, these task forces, right? Yeah. Across the country, and share all this knowledge, help our communities provide employment for veterans that are looking for it or need it. And we bridge the gap. So my way of dealing with mental health is, if there's an officer involved in a shooting, whether they take a life or the shooter, or they are wounded, I would pair them up with a service member that's had similar injuries or been in a similar incident. And it's not clinical. It's peer counseling. Hey, this is how I dealt with it. And it started off from my injuries, and a Boston cop had something very similar happen to him. And we just started going back and forth. And then, well, hey, that was great. Well, this happened to this person in Texas. Can we link them up with somebody? And just to have, that continuity of someone who's been there, done that, and is now thriving is huge.
No, that's awesome.
And it doesn't cost a penny. It's just guys just do this on their own time. It's easy.
It's a super great point. Yeah. That I think that one of the biggest things I see for our guys that get out, because you go so hard at such a high pace, that most of them continue to train their body, but they let their mind stop. And if you don't keep it active and keep it ripping, and this would be a great thing for them.
Absolutely. Man, I have guys hitting me up all the time, and they're getting out. Hey, what can I do? And I pay scale. I pay for-profit prices,
right,
in a nonprofit, because I want the best guys coming in working. And yeah, we truth be told, I'm kind of building a troop, right? I'm right. Surrounding myself with the guys that I spent 2 decades working with, that I loved and mean more to me than almost anything outside of my family. And I want that to continue, because I know the work ethic I'm going to get. I know the knowledge I'm going to get, right? And it's unparalleled.
So at what point in time, because you and I, so we both live local here.
Yep.
And me and this guy trying to be in the same town at the same time. Do you know how much it's about 300 text messages for us to do one dinner, right? Matter of fact, we were supposed to have dinner tonight, and your family came in. But no. So at what point in time too, because you got to look at this in scale, you got to look at putting some more U's at the executive level.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to grow my board out right now as well. The board I've had got me to where I'm at. And I'll never lose that. They're there. They are a backbone of this organization, and I love them for that and for what they've done. But to get to this level, we need that type of person on our board. So that's where we're at right now, and that'll help us grow. My ultimate plan is, when I feel like this organization has scaled, is maintaining, if not gaining momentum, I'm going to remove myself from the job I'm doing now and go to the board, so I can just work on strategy and hire out my position. And then I'm bringing in the next me to run it. We're already bringing in people to look at the West Coast to kind of do what I'm doing out on the West Coast. And then we want to regionalize it. The big picture is, at some point, if we can get the government on board. So if anybody in the government's watching this, is we want facilities, right? Some of my biggest costs are travel, because everywhere we go, I'm flying instructors, putting them up in the hotels, rental cars. It costs me a lot of money. And looking at New England, there's not a lot of regional facilities that are usable for what we're doing right now, if any. And there's some outdoor ranges that are good for the shooting part. We would like to have regional facilities that we can do everything we need to do at, and it's no cost to the departments. And it'll just be a constant cycle. It'll be run by our guys. They'll staffed as well if they want to do stuff on the side to help raise money to fund it, whether, concealed carry classes, whatever that may be. There's a lot of options. And we want to start putting those around the country in strategic locations, specifically for patrol officer level training to respond to active shooters.
Awesome.
That's it.
So one of the things we're going to do at Born Primitive is Sully and I have already talked. We're going to run another course for VBPD, Virginia Beach. But one of the things we started back in April is we're doing a monthly campaign that is going to go to a specified nonprofit charity, and it's specifically targeting military and law enforcement. So in October, it'll be Community First Project. And whenever you buy anything from Born Primitive on the website, there will be a donate button there as well. And we're going to promote that highly in October. So just giving you a heads up.
Yep.
So every single sale made, and you guys know we do a lot of volume, you'll have the opportunity. And what's cool about that is, we're a national brand, and Sully is training nationally. So that takes it out of just the local area, which we fund directly with him. So it's just another way to contribute. And again, what I'm appealing to, because I am now in the business community, is that for other businesses to take a look at this and actively get involved with your local city and actually help them out. And the best thing you can do, guys, is, and again, it's a nonprofit, so you guys know in the business world what that can help you out with, is you could actually fund a course in your city that benefits directly for your department. What a better give back than that right there.
100%.
Right?
100%. And you know what? If you're a police officer listening to this and you're like, damn, I need that training, call me. Again, we will, it might not be right away depending on what state you're in, but we will find the way to get to yes. Right? That's what we're here to do. We're here to take this across the country. 700,000+ officers in this country, and every one of them needs more training at every level. And I will say, I've never come across a department or an officer that didn't want more training, that didn't want to be better at their job. And they just, a lot of times they don't have access to it. So we're trying to fix that.
I like that. I like that a lot. So what was the last thing you and I did cool together?
Oh man. How about the next thing though?
Are we talking about
Ohio State? I was going to
talk about Normandy.
Oh yeah, we did do that. I'm thinking about the future though, right?
All right. So we have a very good mutual friend, Matt Patricia, that's up there now, Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yep.
Slightly well-known football program.
They were okay. They did well last year.
And they're making an impact.
We must love that dude if we're rooting for Ohio State.
Yeah.
As a Notre Dame guy.
I'm going to say right now that I love Matt Patricia so much that at one point in time, I was actually cheering for the fucking Detroit Lions. That tells you everything right there.
That is
like I was like, never in my life did I think I would be like a Detroit Lion. I actually wore their swag because he was
you wore
there.
your hat on like this.
Yeah. And it was one of those that, and that team they're doing pretty good right now.
And that stadium was for the, when Matty was there, they had traditionally not done well. But the fans showed up. Yeah, they were in it all the time.
Die hard.
It was impressive. And it was a nice stadium too.
Yeah, nice stadium, solid fans. And man, I did not know till we got up there their history. And I'm like, yeah, these guys need them. I hate to say it, last year when they were making a run, I have this thing. And I hate to say it with Brady and Belichick and Matty and all those guys gone. I don't know if Patriots are going to get back anytime soon.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I have this thing now when it comes to the Super Bowl is I want the team that's never got one. So when there's a playoff run going on and I see somebody in there that has never gotten a Lombardi, that's my team. So
I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Super Bowls, we've been to the 2 greatest Super Bowls of all time.
We've been to 3.
I didn't go to that one. They lost that one.
That's right.
We were deployed.
Oh, so it was your fault.
It was your fault. If I were there, they might have won.
No, we have been to the 2 greatest Super Bowls. Matter of fact, we could have thrown a freaking stone and hit Malcolm Butler when he made that interception.
Right in front of us.
Right in front of us.
Unbelievable. And then, that was definitely one of the highlights of you and I is being on the field.
Oh, yeah.
And celebrating with Maddie and the boys.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
It was definitely there's a different thing to just going to a Super Bowl, but being allowed to be with the team.
Yeah.
Go to their team party, be part of the event, be on the field when they're getting the Lombardi. That was...
I remember going to the hotel afterwards. because we were at the team hotel.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, man, I feel like there should be more people here. And we're standing out and grabbing a drink from the bar and like the foyer there. And like, no, you got to go in the conference room. We walk in the conference room.
And we're like, holy
it was Gronk is on stage with no shirt with somebody was rapping, and then Pitbull comes out. And I'm like, I don't listen to Pitbull, but I can't stop moving. And it was just, that was unbelievable. Yeah.
So something pretty cool about that. I wondered why when we went to Houston and we'll talk about the Falcons one here next.
Yeah.
But do you know that was the last Super Bowl that the teams were running their party?
There was a significant difference.
What a difference when the NFL took the Super Bowl parties over, how corporate it got.
Yeah.
Because anybody could buy a ticket. When we were at the Seattle, New England everybody there was somehow a guest of the Patriots.
Team. Correct.
So
and in the party, like the bands were picked by the NFL. I think it was, and nothing against Old Dominion and John Legend, I think, is who played, right?
Yeah,
and
but
it's a big difference from when you're trying to celebrate, right?
There were people in the party that didn't have any connection with the Patriots.
Bought a ticket.
They just bought a ticket.
So nobody came out.
Yeah.
Like the first one, the team was out there, maybe not.
Yeah.
We saw Bill and Maddie later, but all the players were out there dancing. Rick Ross was on stage and they're all dancing with Rick Ross. Yeah. And the other one, nobody wanted to come out because they didn't know who the hell was out there.
And it's corporate.
It was super corporate. I think Kraft came out and spoke towards the end, but we were sitting there waiting.
After that experience, when we went to, unfortunately, the one we lost against the Eagles, which was still a fucking amazing game. Yeah. We did a drive-by of the party because we knew how it was going to be.
Yeah.
We kind of came in, walked through, and was like, yeah, bye.
Nope.
So, but no, man, so now we're sitting there, you have the Butler interception. Then we go to Houston and it's the Falcons. And I'll just say this. Here's something I'm going to talk about in all three games. When Seattle lost with the Butler interception, literally every Seattle fan was out of that stadium in like 4 minutes when the game was over. It was like they were out. They did not watch any of it. They bailed and all that. Then we go down to Houston, and it's New England and Atlanta, and we are getting freaking destroyed, pummeled. I remember
so much.
I remember looking at you at halftime and saying, "We just need a big fucking play."
Yep.
And you're like, I mean, even everybody was having the life sucked out of them. And then it happened, man. That freaking strip sack.
Yep.
And I was like, this is it.
And I looked at the score and I'm like, you know what? The numbers, and I started thinking by the fourth quarter, I'm like, we got this.
Do you remember us saying we have to get 2 touchdowns with 2 2-point conversions? And we're convinced it's going to happen. And it did. And it did.
Yeah.
What a game.
For me, the most memorable part of that game, obviously, thanks to Maddie for making that happen for us, right? But the Atlanta fans, and I get a lot of support in Atlanta. And I have a lot of people down there helping me out, and I'm trying to help them. They just had an incident there not too long ago. But man, those fans sucked. Obnoxious.
They were
never been there, right?
I can remember in the third quarter, and I'm not a little dude.
No.
I can remember the third quarter, people coming up because the 6 of us were in Pat's gear and kind of like giving us the
talking shit.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, one of 2 things is going to happen.
Yeah.
Either I'm going to end up blasting somebody here or we're going to win.
Yeah.
Thank God it was
been both. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and sure enough, man, they tucked tail.
Oh my God.
Like, what do you say after blowing that lead, right?
Yeah. That was, like you said, the 2 most epic Super Bowls ever. When we went to the third one, I'll tell you, the freaking Eagles taught me a lesson.
That's a good team.
Well, you know what they did? Is they never came off the gas.
Yeah.
They played every play in that second half like it was the last play of the game.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing to watch how competitive it got. And then I can just remember we got the ball back with like 2 minutes left. Brady's getting the ball. I looked it over at everybody we were with, and I'm like, we fucking got this.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's got the ball. And to be honest with you, on that last play of the game, I think for like 4 seconds after that ball bounced in the end zone and wasn't caught, I could not register that we had lost.
Because we never saw that. For 10 years, every time the Pats had the ball last, they won.
We won.
And you didn't even have to watch. You're like, oh, we got the ball. We're good.
No, do you remember, oh my God, we did the Broncos game. And this is funny because I had Derek Wolfe on this podcast. And I remember he almost put Brady out of commission in that game. It was the coldest game in Gillette ever. We were up there, and I can't remember how bad it was, but I do know that at the tailgate party, somebody put a beer on the hood of the car.
It froze.
And it froze to the car, and we couldn't pull it off. And thank God I had 2 Boston SWAT guys in the car, because I drove home from Gillette with a frozen beer on the hood.
Oh, man.
But no, that game, we were getting, Denver was destroying us, much like, the Atlanta game. And then I don't know what the hell happened, but in the end of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, Brady just got that look.
Yeah. And
we came back, and it was Brady Manning. I mean, the two, the two, and we came back and we won that at the end. The typical, we have the ball last. And from that game forward, I was like, this guy, if he has the ball last, we win.
I'm just picturing all the anti-Pats comments coming out, all the haters. Bring it. Like, we'll be back.
Bring it.
No, it was.
I mean, we're fans of the game, though.
Yeah.
I don't think I have. I don't think I have stink eye for any team. Hockey and football to me. Hockey, football, UFC. I got to have some violence. Are the sports to be at live, right?
Absolutely. Hockey's one of the. You remember being at the Stanley Cup?
Yes,
with me.
I did.
That was one of the first times we hung out.
That was,
and
that was
Vancouver.
Game 6,
Vancouver. And then we went back
Vancouver.
To 7. And I don't know if I probably shouldn't tell this story. With the BPD got us in. We'll say we didn't have tickets.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, they were like, meet us at the corner, and the gun truck pulls up. We jump in, and then we walk in.
Yeah, I think we were special DOD advisors. Guys, we had no tickets to Game 6 of the Stanley Cup. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
And they put us in like the standing section, right down in the front row, right in front of the goal where they scored. I think it was like 3 right off the bat.
Do you remember?
First period.
Do you remember? And we sent an individual away to get us a round of beers, and he missed all 3 goals.
I do remember.
They scored.
That was one of your guys.
Yeah, they scored 3 goals in like 4 minutes, and he missed them all.
And then Matty hits me up. He's like, "Hey, you at the game?" "Yeah, we're at the game." "Where you at?" "Here." He goes, "Turn around," and he's in the box. And he's like, "Oh, you guys are coming up here."
That's
and
right.
Then we ended up in the box with him, and then we ended up. Next thing I know, it's like 1 a.m. We're eating street meat.
Yes,
getting pizza or something in the North End.
Yeah, oh my God.
So many good times. Chicago.
Why
does Matty's like always involved?
That's right.
In a little bit, not to tell Raina, but
Matt Patricia has a history with us.
He does. So what a good dude.
Yeah,
so Ohio State, Michigan, maybe. I know this year is in Michigan, but maybe next year in Ohio State.
You know, with us, it's dates.
Yeah,
possible schedule. So Matt, if you, and Matt never gets time to do anything.
Yeah, but Matt's probably not watching podcasts. He has social media now, though.
Yeah, he is, and he's blowing it up. Yeah. So the other Stanley Cup I remember was we were in Chicago, and it was Bruins Blackhawks, Game 7 in Chicago, and I made a wager with a Blackhawks fan, and I'm not a bettor, and I just remember the bet was this, and the loser had to show up the next day at work for the big mass briefing. I'm talking the whole unit, all the air guys.
I know who the bet was with.
And and the loser had to wear whatever piece of apparel the winner bought. So he bought a ladies' pink, like V-neck fucking Blackhawks. So he gave it to me the day before, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Put that on my forearm?
Yep.
And he's like, dude, you got to wear it.
Make it work.
So I remember I had it stretched out all night over my hotel room chair to try and even fit in it.
Yeah. Hey, bet's a bet.
And I'm like, oh yeah, a bet's a bet. And so I put it on, and you want to talk about a fucking medium plus.
Oh.
So I put this thing on. I'm like, there's no way in front of like 200 of the baddest dudes on earth I am going to walk. Yeah. So I put like a flannel over it. And we walk in there and I'm giving the briefing. I am front and center. The good thing is with our discipline, I knew there was no cameras, cell phones with what we were doing.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank fucking God, because we're in I think we're in the Chicago FBI field office. And I said, oh, and by the way, and Danny, I won't mention his last name, is like, Bruno, you didn't settle up. And I peeled the flannel. And I did a 360 in it. And I'm like, is everybody good? Is everybody done throwing up in their mouth?
I'm just going to put this out there. If anybody's watching this and has a picture of that, just post it in the comments below.
Yeah, thanks.
I want to see it. Yeah.
But no, my God, man. So Matt with Ohio State, and you want to go to what game? Ohio State, Michigan?
We'll figure it out. But we need to look at it. The big one, and I know we talked about this a couple of years now, is Army Navy. And I think, to co-brand something, not putting you on the spot by any means, or just to do something in the days before, So I'm 100%. We as a brand are 100% in. I'll tell you that we started to jump into something last year, and then you were already working another thing, right. And I kind of just backed off. But one of the things I want to do, so we're very close with Houghton and Young, Norm Houghton's group. One of the things I think would be perfect would for us to do a cigar whiskey fundraiser for C1P. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and do that, and then the way we do it is, Norm Houghton, and we bring in some big Army Navy guys that are there, and hey, you buy a ticket for this event that is going to support C1P. You get to hang out with these guys, and trust me, we'll roll some hitters in for that.
Absolutely. So, it's Baltimore this year too.
It's in Baltimore.
It's in Baltimore. So I'm already working. I'll have I'm trying to get boxes.
Okay.
And my goal this year, I don't really do Army Navy as a fundraiser. I do it as a networking and a bridging between donors and supporters of the community and veterans. So the way that I run it is I just want to cover my costs, maybe make a little money. And anybody buys a ticket through me has to buy a second ticket and donate it to a veteran.
Oh, I like that.
Right. So that way we have half supporters, half veterans, and we, hopefully raise a little money, or at least don't lose money. And it's just a great event. It's a great networking event. And like I know, the Army Navy game, there's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. I
mean, there is nothing like it. If you're a patriot, you're a former service member. I mean, it's the banter back and forth. And you have to know, here at Born Primitive, I mean, I'm career Army and our owner is former Navy. So you know how it's going in this building right here. So, but I do like the fun and everything like that. What else are you thinking about?
Oh man. Well, let's get some training done here too.
Yeah.
I want to do, if I thought about this, if we were to do something Army Navy week, I love the whiskey cigar, and I definitely, we have some connections up there for that as well, but I want to do something fitness related. And I thought about I
know a brand that does that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And what if we got all of us in an event and we did 5 minutes max bench, 225, one person on the bench at a time. And we got 5 of us together. And then we had people pledge over the amount of reps.
There's
something like that, just not long, not hard. We can publicize it. We can get people to 25 cents a rep or something. It's not a ton of money, but you get enough people to do it.
Get everybody significant, do it.
And it'd be a lot of fun.
No, I think that'd be really fun. And I think, something else. So we here at Born Primitive, and I think people are tracking this. I think Bear's talked about this, but we are moving to a new facility next year. And if you look at what Bear and Mal have come up with for our human performance facility and our gym, and one of Bear's things, and again, this is supporting law enforcement, is one of the things we're also going to do. I mean, this building is 500 feet long, 3 stories high, and it's going to be unique. It's going to be a combination of office space, eating space, warehousing. I mean, it's going to have everything in it. But we're going to open that up to allow VBPD to come in and train.
That's awesome.
And let them come in there and have facilities that we can control the lighting and stuff. And then we thought it'd be pretty cool with the human performance facility we're going to have in there to, bring people out, put some sleds out in the parking lot and just, get after it. But that would be the perfect place for something like that.
100%.
So,
and
then we can, grab some fun content out of it too.
Yeah.
So see what we can make.
The sky's the limit, right? And it doesn't really take a lot of money to do stuff like that. And then, you know, you raise 20 grand. That's a training.
No, and I'd love to keep doing something local.
Absolutely. Local stuff is going to happen, and especially with the new facilities coming up. And, you know, I'd love to get a school. And Troy and I had spoke about this fairly recently, that given what happened at Bayside this last week, maybe over the summer, and if anybody in the city or in the area can help with this, we would love to get a school donated and just do maybe a couple consecutive weeks of training where we can just sort of an open enrollment, but with no charge. And we can actually use a facility that would be comparable to what an actual school. So there's definitely things we've got in motion, and we're trying to make work. We got to close the loop on a few things to make it happen. Yeah.
So one of the things I'll throw out there too, I mean, Sully has put out a couple times how to get a hold of him.
Yep.
But if for some reason you're like, what did he say? I don't remember. Just know that if you hit us at Born Primitive, obviously we work closely with them. So if you forget how to get a hold of C1P, Community First Project, just reach out to us at Born Primitive. We'll obviously pass that on, because that's the whole purpose of having him here today, is for awareness.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're just trying to get the message out there, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate all you guys do to support us, and in turn support law enforcement. It's couldn't do it without partners.
Yeah. And that's something that, you know, every time we look, one of the things that we are about is veteran, military, first responder, police support. We do a ton of give back here. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I came here, was the ethos, and it will never change.
Yeah, that's great. That's why you guys are successful. And that's why we pitch you guys, right? Not only do you have the best product out there, but you've got the best people working here, the people that I want to work with. And it's just a natural bond. So we love it, man.
So we skipped something. Let's talk about something fun. When's the next time we're going to go do a cool jump trip?
Oh yeah, we did one recently, right? Where was that?
Normandy.
Oh, that's right.
80th anniversary.
Oh man, that was epic. How you feeling, by the way?
Much better. So I got to tell two stories. So one, coolest thing ever was, you have 8 retirees, all former special operators, and we got all the waivers signed. And 8 of us were jumping with the Navy Leapfrogs, the Army Golden Knights, and both the Canadian and the British military jump teams. So, you know, it was one, and I'm talking free fall.
One of these things ain't like the other.
No, but it was kind of wild when we all 5 jump teams packed in that C-130. Yeah. I remember the crew chief going, I forget who was asking one of us. We had 67 jumpers, and the crew chief goes, how many do you have? And he goes, and the response was, what's the max you can take? He's like, 49. He's like, we got 49.
I think that picture's out there.
It's out there.
You should throw it on there.
It's actually on Born Primitive Tactical.
It's one of the best pictures.
Well, I mean, when they closed the ramp, there were 8 of us on the ramp because we didn't fit.
Yes. It was worth it.
I mean, no big deal.
That was St. Michel, right? Mount St. Michel?
Mount St. Michel. No big deal. Just a 1,000-year-old castle.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a lot of fun. The highlight to me, and Ed was the one that set all this up, and thank you to him for making it happen. And thank you for all the people that supported too, right? Cameraman, and obviously BP, and
Complete Parachute
CPS,
Solutions,
and
Gators. I mean, we had
so many awesome sponsors that were just, fuck yes, we're on board. This is amazing. And really what we did it for was a dedication to the vets that came over the beach in Normandy, and really the birth of the SEAL teams, if you want to dig into our lineage. And it was an absolute honor. That being said, to be able to jump out of the actual flight lead bird on D-Day that they found in a trash pile and completely restored.
And it was beautiful.
It was amazing.
Beautiful airplane.
And it was low.
So 2 things. So Ed Byers, recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor, put a foundation together. It's the old Untold Journey Foundation. Born Primitive is also supporting that foundation. Yep. Ed came up with this idea and sled dogged it and got a lot of the paperwork pushed through. And I think the background of the 8 of us also helped when it was sent forward to solidify it.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we got to go over there, and we did, nine
eight
jumps?
or nine jumps.
8 or 9
We had
jumps.
a few canceled. We're supposed to do 12.
But it was, I mean, we jumped on Easy Company's DZ. We freaking jumped 1,000-year-old castle. I mean, everyone was good. Everyone was good, but one for me. So
well, you were hunting. You weren't jumping. You were hunting groundhog.
Yeah. So this is kind of a cool story. So we
is it though?
I think it is. I think I think it's very.
It's a unique story.
I think it's very us.
It is.
So the clouds. There was 2 low cloud decks, and we, being the guys we were, like, if we can get out of this fucking airplane, we're jumping.
Yes.
And we had somebody else setting up our drop zone. So long story short is we got out of this World War II vintage C-47. What did we get out of? Like 6,500? We got it, whatever it was.
Bro.
Oh no, wait a minute. That was the jump. We were at like 3,500.
No, if not low, under 3,000.
Yeah, it was under 3.
It was.
That's right. It was under 3. So
turning off cypresses.
Anybody that knows anything about skydiving, we turned our cypresses off.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. And we got out of the airplanes, and it was immediate deployment, and it was immediate deployment into a cloud deck. And then when we came through the clouds, the code letter, the T on the drop zone, was inverted 180 degrees. So I'm just telling you that when you get out of an airplane in a military free fall rig at 3,000 feet, go through clouds and then pop out, you have not had time to do a penetration check, wind check, and you see a T and you go for it. So I'm talking some very experienced jumpers and one tandem that, you know, and we whip it around to get on DZ line, and every one of us experienced the exact same thing at the same time. As soon as you came whipping around to get on that code letter, you knew you had a full tailwind. I thought you were going to hit the wires.
I actually got on rear risers.
Okay.
Because I was the furthest guy. I couldn't turn.
Yeah.
So I just had to take it long. And I'm like, all right.
Well, there was 3 of us that were going long.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go long. And if I'm going long, I'm not going to try and make, because there's a huge fence and then the wires and then a street. And I'm like, nah, let me just ride it out. I'm too old to be trying to make stuff happen.
I'm watching you, and I'm watching where I'm going. And then I saw to myself, oh man, this is like a crop field that we're going into. It's the edge of the drop zone. And we had jumped on something like this earlier. And just so you know, the crop, whatever it was, is like 2-3 feet high. And we're coming screaming in, like we're in a full fucking tailwind, and we're all jumping some good performance rigs. And I just remember I said to myself, I'm going to slide, you know, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to slide. And that worked all the way until I hit the concealed 2-foot hill and flipped over and freaking smashed my elbow. And when I say smashed my elbow, I freaking ruptured my elbow, tore my tricep, had a piece of my freaking elbow halfway up my tricep. There's a good part to this story. And then I looked underneath me, and I'm like, there's no fucking way. And I had to call 2 of these guys over, because if somebody doesn't see it, it didn't happen.
Oh, by the way, we have that video.
Yeah. I killed a groundhog.
Yeah,
I fucking landed on and killed a fucking groundhog. That's how good I hit.
Did you make a hat out of it or something?
No. But if you remember, so now just know that I have a completely severed tricep, and I have my elbow where my tricep used to be. And what did we do? We went back. Another jump.
Well, we went back. We had some whiskey. We hit the hot tub.
Like,
all right, we're good. You iced down. You're like, I'm going to get a good night's sleep.
It was all pink and purple.
It was supposed to look like that, right?
But what was happening the next day?
We had to jump.
The 1,000-year-old castle.
You couldn't miss it.
I was not missing it.
No.
So we get in this airplane.
Nobody's ever accused us of being smart.
No.
You know what I mean?
Or pussies.
Yeah, or pussies. Yeah.
So we get in this airplane, and I'm literally sitting right next to Sully. And
but you also had the BP rig that you had to jump.
That's right. So I just remember to get up, because of how many of us were in the airplane, I rolled over to push off the ground to stand up. And that's when the blinding pain hit that went all the way to me. And you looked at me and you're like, oof, dude, are you fucking all right? Why don't you sit down? I don't think you need to jump. What'd I say? Let's fucking go.
Yeah. I think you said, shut up, bitch.
Yeah.
Something along that lines.
I just know
I'm going, motherfucker.
Everything was cool. Fucking beautiful flight. Everything was cool until I dumped and my fucking main opened.
Yeah.
And I couldn't lift my right arm and unseat my brake.
Yeah.
Then it got pretty sporty.
It takes 2 arms to fly.
It does take 2 arms.
In most cases.
So I proved everybody that you can use your teeth to hold one brake, unseat the other brake, and then attempt to land what's supposed to be with 2 arms with one, and totally make a landing that everybody appreciated.
It was good, and it was in mud. Actually, it was probably good that it was in mud, right? I don't know if for Mont Saint Michel, the tide goes in and out, and when it goes out for miles.
Oh yeah.
And so, thankfully, if you don't land right up on the wall, you're getting muddy, and
that's also
probably the right.
Oh yeah. Call. And then I freaking sledded up there, and that's when I watched the leapfrogs do that planing thing
side by side,
2-way,
whatever it is,
all the way down to the ground where they didn't break apart until like 75. I have it on video. It was the most, I mean, all the jumps we have, that was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And what did they do? They landed on the code letter.
And when the other jump teams are looking at them like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And these are guys doing
world class.
Yeah.
I mean, the Golden Knights, everybody came in and did their best thing.
Yeah.
The leapfrogs came in last.
Yeah.
And basically did the massive fuck you one up.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I got to send you the video of, I think it was Iron Mike, where they took it to like 15 feet. So they cut away 15 feet tethered to each other. So if you think 2 parachutes coming horizontal to the ground, straight down at about 45 miles an hour, and then they slowly stop. And then at about 15 feet, they cut it loose and land.
Yep.
It is, I don't know how you do that for the first time. Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I don't know how you do it for the 50th time. I mean, like I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, no fucking way.
I have it on my GoPro. I'm going to send you that video one because it was even more impressive than Mont Saint Michel.
Mont Saint Michel. Got it.
Those guys are the best.
No, they are absolutely the best. Yep. And I still stay in touch with a couple of those guys. Yep. And matter of fact, one of the Marsac guys that was doing all the tandems with us.
Yeah.
I talked to him all the time.
Yeah, he was a good dude.
Really good dude.
The caliber, quality, whatever you want to call it, the people that we met over on that trip, to include 100-year-old World War II vets.
105.
Well over that.
The youngest guy I talked to was 99.
99.
And he was sharp.
Yeah, and he came in at like 16 or 17.
So that's
lied about his age.
That's the one point I want to make. We're talking about all the cool jump stories, but let me tell you, the most humbling and the most awesome thing was being in their presence. Holy shit. Just being around those guys. I mean, and we did everything. We were at the D-Day ceremony. I remember we sat right in front of the Ranger Regiment leadership. I mean, the bridge, every epic thing you could do, we participated in ceremonies and we spent our time with the veterans. I really enjoyed before D-Day when they had the VIP tent and we were hanging out with all of them. That was when I talked to the guy. He's either 105 or 106.
Was he the one that was walking, refused to be in a wheelchair?
Yes. Yeah. Refused to be in a wheelchair. How crazy.
What a stud. And he said, he's like, yeah, I still golf once or twice a week.
Well, I asked one of them, I'm like, how did you, and he literally looked at me and didn't blink an eye. And he's like, I smoke a cigar every day. I'm like, I love that, man. Yeah. I mean, right.
You get on that program.
So, hey, for anybody listening, if you've never heard the term the greatest generation, I mean,
no doubt about it.
Holy shit, right?
No doubt about it. Some of those guys, their first jump was into combat. They trained them, but didn't have time to do the practice jumps. And they were already going overseas. And their first jump as a 17-year-old kid was into Nazi occupied France.
Yep.
If you can wrap that around your head, we jumped in with over 1,000 jumps or whatever we're at right now. And man, these kids jumped into combat, taking fire under canopy. It is unbelievable.
And then fucking stayed there for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then 18, 19, 20 years old, they go home and like, hey, go do your life. Mental health, none of the luxuries.
You wonder how motorcycle gangs started and everything else, right? So
exactly.
It's exactly it though.
So, humbling.
Yeah. Humbling. And to be, so this is something I'll say about Normandy. There's 2 trips because I've been there twice. If you go during D-Day, it's about the veterans 100%. Yep. That's what you're there for. If you want to go to see the history, go there other than D-Day. There's a lot less people. It's a lot easier to get around. You can spend more time in the history. But if you're there for D-Day, you should be there for the veterans.
100%.
Yeah. And if I know some of the stuff I was interested in and the amount that there are left, But the one thing I did not even know, being a former Ranger, is there's no living .2 Hawk veterans. They're all gone.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the amount we lose every day. Like I think that's why, from what I understand, the reason the 80th was so big is that the projection, unfortunately, is the 85th won't have very many. So
I think, didn't they lose a couple on the flight over?
they did.
Yeah.
They did. I actually got to fly home with one. And my God, he was coming home, and he you could just tell that like that week was everything for him.
Yeah.
And because the whole way home, he was a chatty Cathy with me, and I wanted to hear every story. So it was just so cool.
And I love, you thank them and you ask them why they did it. And then, the answer overwhelmingly is, we did it for you. And it's just like, oh man, I get that, right? I get it. And, my grandfather was a Marine in World War II, and because of Pearl Harbor, and never really talked about it, but I got obviously he's gone, such a better appreciation for him and our connection as being being military during combat.
Right.
It was such an experience.
It's
I was so happy to have been.
It's a different club.
It really is.
It's a different club. I tell people, for me, there's military service, and there's military service of guys that have actually served in combat, and there is a difference.
Yeah.
And especially your generation, Sully, to have I know guys that got out at 9 years and were in combat for
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the pace is insane. So that's why for me, being at 20 when 9/11 kicked off, to go 10 more years was, I was done. I was done at the end of that. But there's nothing in my life that could ever really equate to the experience and the brotherhood. So,
Agreed. It's a decision, or it's a thought that is a part of every decision I make with a nonprofit, is what can I do to bring the guys with me as we grow? And I know Bear feels the same in this organization, and you. So you want to be surrounded by great people. And we were part of organizations that had the best, the greatest. And
I agree.
Proud to be a part of it.
We got to take care of them. I mean,
Agreed.
If you look at what's going on nowadays, between guys getting bent from war, from, in one of the other foundations we work with, Warrior Health, Operator Syndrome, blast injury, things of that. But take care of the veterans. Something I'll say to everybody out there, and I mean this: if you see a military veteran, if you see a police officer, just go say thank you.
Yeah,
shake his hand. Because especially if you've never done it, support those that have. But anyhow,
you're absolutely right.
Any closing comments for Community First?
And
remind everybody again how to get a hold of you.
C1P.org is the website. Please go there, check us out. There's links to our social media. There'll be links to social media on here. You can support us, if nothing else, by following us and sharing our content. When we post something, so max viewership, right? We want to grow, we want to scale. And you never know who's going to see something and is moved by it enough to take action at any level, politically or professionally. And we need that as a grassroots campaign. So just keep in mind that there is a problem, and we are here trying to solve the problem, be a part of that solution. And everything we do is about community safety, protecting, our families, our friends, our kids, and our communities. So please, I hope you take an interest, and hit me up anytime if I can be of service to your department or organization. Yeah.
And my only message on this is that looking in the rearview mirror after something happens is never the answer.
Nope.
I can't tell you how many guys we've met that I wish I would have done this. Well, it's the same in this.
Absolutely.
If you don't get proactive in your community safety, you're going to be the guy going, I even heard this podcast and I didn't do anything. So just know that there is something to help, and ask any of the officers that have been trained how much it elevates their game. That's why we're firm believers here. I've gone to multiple of the training sessions to like, hey, where we're putting our money, is this worth it? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, throw more money at it. So C1P, we're big fans. Sully, one of the things I want to do for your time here, We are very, very active partners with the Montana Knife Company. These guys, if you don't know it, they really are the name in the hunting industry.
Yeah.
And they are now very big in the tactical community. But this is actually a special knife. This knife here, Aaron Snyder, our outdoor director, probably one of the best bow hunters in the world. This is a knife that he did with Josh Smith of Montana Knives.
No
So it's a
kidding.
joint knife. So I'd like to give this to you from us and Montana Knives.
That's amazing.
You're absolutely going to love that knife. And then military culture, my friend. You can't have a podcast and bring guys like you on and not have a coin. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow us at Born Primitive Tactical. I'll see you next time.